She wore confidence like armor and survival like a lifestyle. In a city where reputations stick longer than secrets, Hope learned how to take what men offered without ever expecting love in return. But what happens when the woman everyone labels meets a man who sees beyond the whispers, beyond the past, and straight into her heart? This is a story about judgment and grace, about the price of survival. Welcome to LA's Listening Lounge with stories you can hear and words you can feel, where not every woman is what they say she is, and not every love story begins clean. Title: Her past had a price, but his love paid it forward. Chapter 1: Hope's Habit. Hope Carter didn't start out wanting to be the woman people whispered about. When she was 19, she told herself it was survival. When she was 22, she called it strategy. By 26, it was simply her routine, an unspoken schedule of dinner reservations, hotel lobbies, discreet transfers, and good morning beautiful texts from numbers saved under fake names. Little Rock had a certain kind of shine if you knew where to look. Private events at the Clinton Center, charity galas with security at the doors, rooftop lounges where old money sat in booths like they owned the air. Hope had learned how to move through those rooms without ever truly belonging to them. She was beautiful in a way that made men lose discipline. Warm caramel skin, long lashes, a soft voice that could turn no into a maybe. She wore expensive perfume and quiet confidence like armor. But confidence didn't protect you from reputation. Everybody knew Hope dated married men. Some men lied to her and said they were leaving their wives. Some told her the truth from the beginning. I'm not going anywhere. Don't get attached. And Hope? Hope didn't get attached. Not to them, not to the wives, not even to the guilt. She was a sugar baby with boundaries. She didn't do drama. She didn't call during family time. She didn't stalk social media pages or comment under photos. She didn't show up at the wrong places. Her rules made her safe, which made her desirable. And her bank account made her feel untouchable. Hope lived in a condo she owned off Cantrell. Modern, clean, the kind of place with white countertops and a balcony view that made you feel like you were winning. She invested more than she spent. She had multiple accounts, a financial advisor she met through one of her arrangements, and a portfolio that could outlast any man's attention. But money didn't stop loneliness. It just made it quiet. The cost was always people. Friends stopped inviting her to brunch. Women she went to high school with would smile in her face and side-eye her the moment she turned around. Even the men's friends looked at her like she was a guilty pleasure they couldn't admit out loud. Then came Madison. Madison Hale had been Hope's best friend since they were 12. Madison's mom, Donna, was the kind of woman who didn't raise her voice because she didn't have to. Her family had wealth that didn't need to post receipts, country club membership, a summer home, connections that could either open doors or close them permanently. Madison found out the truth in the worst way. Hope had been seeing a man named Robert. He was older, generous, and careful. He told Hope his wife didn't understand him. He said he was trapped. He said he wanted peace. One night, Madison saw Hope leaving a restaurant, hand in hand with Robert, Madison's father. The scream Madison let out didn't come from anger. It came from betrayal so deep it sounded like heartbreak. Hope never forgot Madison's face, like someone had stolen her childhood and spit it back at her. Madison didn't slap her, didn't curse her out. She just stared and whispered, "You're disgusting." Then she turned and walked away like Hope no longer existed. Donna wasted no time. Within days, everybody in their circle knew. Hope became the modern-day Jezebel in the mouths of women who pretended they didn't also have secrets. The kind of woman mothers warned their daughters about. The kind of woman wives hated without ever meeting. The whispers got louder. But the men? The men never stopped coming. Hope told herself she didn't care. But late at night, when the city quieted and her condo felt too big, she stared at her ceiling and wondered what it would feel like to be loved in public. To be chosen without shame. To wear a ring without feeling like an apology. She wanted high society respect. The real kind. Not the kind a man rented for a weekend. She wanted to be somebody's wife. But she didn't know how to stop being what she'd become. So she did what she always did. She put on lip gloss, answered the next text, and told herself she was fine. Chapter 2. The Trail Where Nobody Knew. Her Hope's favorite place in Little Rock wasn't a lounge or a boutique. It was a walking trail. Early mornings, before the city fully woke up, she'd park near the entrance, tie her sneakers tight, and disappear into the trees like she was someone simpler, someone without a history. There, she wasn't that girl. She was just a woman walking, breathing, trying to hear her own thoughts. The air was cool that morning, crisp enough to make her cheeks pink. She wore a fitted set, black leggings, a soft gray hoodie, hair pulled into a high puff, no lashes, no heels, no perfume, just hope. She turned onto a curve where the path narrowed and her phone buzzed. A message. I miss you. When can I see you again? Saved as D. Hope rolled her eyes, kept walking, tried to ignore the familiar tug of power that came from being wanted. She didn't see the raised root until her foot caught it. Her body tilted forward, fast, sudden, and the world spun. Ah! She hit the ground hard, palms scraping, knees stinging. The pain shot up her leg and stole her breath. Oh my God, are you okay? A man's voice, close. Hope looked up and blinked. He was tall, athletic, dressed like he actually came out here to walk, not to pose. Gray joggers, a black long-sleeve shirt, a watch that looked expensive without screaming for attention. His skin was deep brown, his hair cut clean, and his face was calm in a way that made her feel safe. He crouched quickly, concern all over him. Can you move? Did you hit your head? I'm fine, Hope lied automatically, trying to push herself up. But her ankle protested, sharp pain making her wince. Okay, don't do that. He held his hands out like he didn't want to touch her without permission. Can I help you up? Hope hesitated. Men always wanted something. But this man didn't look at her like a prize. He looked at her like a person. Yeah, she whispered. He gently supported her arm, helped her sit on the bench nearby, then crouched to examine her ankle like he knew what he was doing. It's not swelling too bad, he said, but it might. Hope forced a laugh. This is embarrassing. It happens, he smiled, not flirtatious, just kind. I'm Ray. Hope's real name sat on her tongue, Hope. But reputation was a shadow, and she'd learned to move like someone always watching. She swallowed. Elise, her middle name, her shield. Elise, he repeated, like it was something soft and worth remembering. You want me to call someone? No. She shook her head too fast. I'm okay. Ray stood, offered a bottle of water from his bag like this wasn't his first time being prepared. Here, drink. You might be in shock. Hope took it. Their fingers brushed, and something in her chest tightened. Ray glanced around. You walk here a lot? Yeah, she tried to sound casual. It's peaceful. I'm new in town, he said, trying to get familiar with the city. My family just moved here. Hope nodded, pretending that didn't raise questions. People didn't just move to Little Rock with the kind of calm confidence Ray carried. How long you been here? She asked. Couple months, he shrugged. Still learning, still getting lost. Hope smiled before she could stop herself. You don't look lost, Ray laughed. Oh, I am. I just don't panic easy. They talked a few minutes about trails, about coffee shops, about Little Rock traffic like it was a shared enemy. Hope kept her answers light, careful. She didn't mention her condo. She didn't mention her past. She didn't mention the men. Ray didn't press. Before he left, he said, You sure you don't need help getting to your car? I'll be fine, Hope insisted. But, thank you. Ray nodded like he meant it when he said, Anytime. Then he paused. I usually come around this time. If you're here again, hopefully you'll keep both feet on the ground. Hope laughed, and it sounded real. As he walked away, she realized something unsettling. She wanted to see him again. Not because of money, not because of the thrill. Because for a few minutes she forgot what people called her. And she liked who she was when he looked at her. Chapter 3. Elise and Ray Hope started accidentally showing up at the trail. Same time, same route, same hoodie. And like clockwork, Ray. Sometimes he was stretching when she arrived. Sometimes he was halfway through the path and doubled back when he spotted her, acting like it was nothing. They didn't call it a date. They didn't call it anything. They just walked. At first, Hope kept it surface level. Favorite music, childhood memories, random stories about Little Rock. Ray talked about his siblings, his parents, how his family believed in moving with purpose. He never bragged, but the details slipped out. The watch wasn't just a watch. The car he drove wasn't just a car. His family didn't just have money, they had weight, the kind that shifted rooms when they entered. And Hope? Hope got nervous, because men with money were the ones she'd always used. But Ray didn't feel like that. He didn't flirt with his wallet. He didn't try to impress her with gifts. He didn't ask what she wanted. He asked what she liked. It threw her off. One morning as they walked, Ray said, Let me take you out. Hope's stomach tightened. Out where? Dinner? A movie? Something normal? Normal. Hope smiled too quickly. I'm busy. Ray tilted his head. Busy doing what? Hope pulled an excuse out of thin air. Work. Ray nodded slowly. Okay, another day. But he asked again the next time, and the next. And every time Hope deflected, because going out meant being seen. And being seen meant being recognized. Hope could handle whispers from strangers, but she couldn't handle Ray seeing her through their eyes. Meanwhile, her phone kept buzzing. Married men didn't like being replaced. You been distant. Where you been? Don't forget who's been taking care of you. Hope stared at the messages and felt tired. For the first time, the money didn't feel worth it, so she started cutting ties, one by one. She didn't do dramatic breakups, just clean closures. I'm done. Block. This isn't what I want anymore. Block. Don't contact me again. Block. Some men begged, some threatened, some cursed her out like she owed them. But Hope had investment accounts, savings, and a spine she didn't know she still had. Still, fear lived underneath her courage, because she knew how men got when they lost control, and she knew how fast her reputation could become something dangerous. Ray noticed she seemed quieter. You okay? He asked one morning. Hope forced a smile. Yeah. Ray looked like he didn't believe her, but he didn't push. Instead, he offered something simple. You don't have to carry everything alone. Hope almost cried right there on the trail, but she held it in. Because Hope Carter didn't cry in public, not anymore. Chapter 4, The Coffee Shop Collision. Hope wasn't expecting to see Ray anywhere but the trail. That was the safe zone. So when she walked into a local coffee shop off Kavanaugh for her usual order, iced chai, extra cinnamon, and saw him near the counter, her heart stumbled. Ray turned and smiled like he'd been waiting for her. Elise, he said warmly. Look at you out in the wild. Hope laughed nervously. Ray, what are you doing here? Trying new places, he said. My mom says I can't call myself a local until I have a favorite coffee spot. Hope relaxed a little. Your mom sounds serious. She is, Ray grinned, in the best way. Before Hope could respond, a woman approached Ray, elegant, brown-skinned, beautiful in that polished, high society way. Pearls, perfect hair. The kind of woman who could silence a room with a look. Raymond, she said, and her voice carried love and authority. We're ready. Hope froze. Ray's smile widened. Perfect timing. He turned to Hope. Elise, I want you to meet my family. Hope's mouth went dry. A man stepped up behind the woman, tall, composed, expensive suit even in a coffee shop. And beside them were two younger adults, one laughing at something on their phone, the other looking around like they owned the place without trying. Ray introduced them like it was the most natural thing in the world. My mom, Mrs. Whitmore. My dad, Mr. Whitmore. This is my sister, Janelle, and my brother, Marcus. Whitmore. Hope's stomach dropped. She knew that name. Everybody in Little Rock knew that name. They weren't just wealthy. They were powerful. Hope's breath got shallow. Ray reached out lightly, touching her elbow. This is Elise, the lady I've been telling y'all about. His mother smiled, warm, genuine. Oh, so you're Elise. His father nodded politely, eyes sharp but not unkind. Good to finally meet you. Hope managed a small smile like her body wasn't screaming. Ray's mom said, We're doing dinner at the house this weekend. Elise, you should come. Hope nearly choked. Oh, thank you, but Ray cut in smoothly. She'll come. Hope shot him a look. Ray looked back, calm and confident. Right? Hope forced her lips into a smile. I'll try. His mother beamed. Wonderful. I'll text you the details. Hope didn't even remember giving her number. But somehow Ray's mom had it, and Hope was nodding like a woman who belonged. When they left, Ray walked Hope to her car. You're quiet, he said. Hope swallowed. Your family is a lot. They're just people. Hope stared at him. Ray, your last name is Whitmore. Ray smiled. Yeah, Hope's voice cracked. You didn't think to mention that? Ray shrugged. It didn't feel relevant on the trail. Hope's chest tightened. It's relevant everywhere else. Ray's eyes softened. Then come to dinner and let them get to know you. Hope wanted to tell him the truth right then, but fear held her hostage. Because the Whitmores didn't just have money. They had influence. And Hope had a past that could ruin her. So she whispered, I'll see, and drove away with her hands shaking on the steering wheel. Chapter 5. Dinner and the Whispers. Hope stood in her closet, staring like her life depended on fabric. She chose a simple dress, soft navy, modest, elegant. Nothing that screamed attention. She curled her hair, kept her makeup light, wore small earrings. She wanted to look like a woman Ray's family could respect. As she pulled up to the Whitmore home, her stomach flipped. The house wasn't a house. It was an estate, gated, manicured lawn, lights lining the driveway like a movie scene. Hope stepped out, clutching a small gift bag with wine and dessert, like it could protect her. Ray opened the door before she could ring the bell. "You made it," he said, smiling like he'd been holding his breath all day. Hope forced a smile. "I did." Ray took her hand gently. "You look beautiful." That simple sentence almost broke her. Inside, the home was full. Not just immediate family, people, men in suits, women in silk, laughter bouncing off polished walls. And then Hope noticed something that made her blood run cold. Familiar faces, local high society, the kind of people who knew her reputation better than her middle name. Hope felt eyes turning, whispering. A woman leaned toward another, covering her mouth like it made the gossip invisible. Hope's throat tightened. Her gift bag suddenly felt stupid. Ray let her in like she belonged, like she was safe, like nobody could touch her. But Hope could hear it. "That's her. Isn't that the girl? Ray brought her here? Lord, the Whitmores don't know. They have to know." Hope's vision blurred. Ray's mom approached, smiling. "Elise, come in, baby." Hope couldn't breathe. She felt like she was standing naked in a room full of judges. Ray leaned down. "You okay?" Hope's voice shook. I'm not feeling well." Ray's brows pulled together. "Elise, I'm sorry," she whispered, eyes burning. "I can't do this." She turned quickly, walking too fast toward the door. Ray followed. "Elise, wait." Hope pushed outside, gulping air like she'd been underwater. Ray caught her gently by the wrist. "Talk to me." Hope's tears finally spilled. "They know me." Ray's face softened. "Okay." Hope laughed bitterly. "You don't understand." "I do," Ray said, calm but firm, "but we can handle it." Hope shook her head. "No. You can't handle what I brought into your life." She stepped back, wiping her face. "I'm sorry, I really am." And then she ran, down the steps into her car, and away from the only thing that had ever felt clean. Chapter 6. The Truth at the Condo. Weeks passed. Hope stopped going to the trail. She blocked her emotions the way she always had, by isolating. Her condo felt smaller now, quiet in a way that mocked her. Ray didn't call at first. Hope almost hoped he would forget her, because forgetting would mean she didn't ruin him. But one evening, as she came back from the grocery store, she froze. Ray was outside her building, leaning against his car, hands in his pockets, looking like he'd been there long enough to be tired of waiting but not tired of caring. Hope's heart thudded. Ray stood up straight when he saw her. "Hey." Hope swallowed hard. "How did you find me?" Ray shrugged. "I'm a Whitmore." It would have been funny if it didn't feel terrifying. Hope set her bags down, voice sharp. "You need to leave." Ray's eyes didn't flinch. "No." Hope's hands shook. "Ray, please, I'm not who you think I am." Ray stepped closer, gentle but solid. "I know who you are." Hope laughed once, hollow. "You don't." "I do," he said. "I asked around." Hope's stomach dropped. Ray continued, voice steady. "I heard the stories. I heard the names they called you. I heard what you did." Hope's shame hit like a slap. She turned her face away, tears rising. "Then why are you here?" Ray stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Because I also heard something else." Hope blinked, confused. Ray said, "I heard that you grew up without much. I heard that you got used by a man when you were younger. I heard that you learned to survive by letting men pay for what they wanted." Hope stiffened. "That's none of your business." Ray nodded. "You're right, but your heart is my business if I'm trying to love you." Hope's breath shook. "Love me? You barely know me." Ray smiled softly. "I know enough. You meet me on that trail because you want peace. You lie about your name because you want a fresh start. You deflect dates because you're scared of being seen. You cut off those men because you want a different life." Hope's tears fell silently. Ray stepped even closer. "I don't care about your past the way they do." Hope whispered, "Your parents." "They don't care either," Ray said. "Not if I'm happy." Hope stared at him, disbelief mixing with fear. "That's not true." Ray shook his head. "My family has secrets too, Elise. Everybody does. We all have things we regret. The difference is, some people get grace and some people get judged." Hope wiped her face. "Why are you giving me grace?" Ray's eyes softened. Because I see you trying. Hope's chest broke open. Ray reached for her hand slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Ray squeezed her fingers. Forgive yourself. Let me help you build the future you say you want. Hope whispered, I don't know how. Ray smiled. Then we learn together. He paused. Dinner again. My parents want you there. I want you there. Let's do it the right way. Hope's lips trembled. I'm scared. Ray nodded. I know, but I'm not leaving. Hope closed her eyes. And for the first time in years, she didn't run. She nodded. Yes, she whispered. I'll come. Chapter 7. When Power Speaks. The second dinner wasn't smaller. It was bigger. More guests, more polished smiles, more people with opinions. Hope arrived with Ray this time, hand in hand, head high, heart trembling. Ray's mom greeted her with a hug that felt like protection. You're here, she whispered, and we're glad. Ray's dad shook her hand firmly. Welcome. Hope swallowed. Thank you for having me. The night started smooth, music low, food rich, laughter filling the room like everything was normal. But Hope noticed them. The stares, the whispers. The looks that slid over her like she was something dirty brought into a clean space. Her chest tightened. She tried to breathe through it, tried to smile, tried not to fall apart. Then it happened. A woman near the fireplace leaned in too close to someone else and said something that made both of them laugh quietly while glancing at Hope. Hope's ears burned. She felt the old reflex, the urge to flee. Her hands shook slightly, and then Ray's hand rested on the small of her back, solid, warm, present. He leaned close and whispered, Stay. Hope swallowed. They're talking. I know, Ray said. And they're about to stop! Before Hope could ask what he meant, Ray's mother clinked a glass. The room quieted. All eyes turned toward Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore. Ray's father stepped forward, voice calm but carrying authority that didn't need to yell. Thank you all for coming tonight, he began. We appreciate you taking the time. Polite nods, smiles, forced elegance. Then his father's tone sharpened, still calm, but now it had teeth. We're also aware of the chatter surrounding who my son has chosen to date. Hope's stomach dropped. Ray's hand remained steady on her back. His father continued. To be fair, it's understandable. People talk when they don't understand. People judge when they don't know the full story. Hope's throat tightened. His father looked around the room. But going forward, it will no longer be tolerated. Not in our home, not in our presence, and not in any space we control. The air changed. People shifted uncomfortably. His father's eyes swept across the crowd, landing on faces that had been whispering. Everyone in this room has past transgressions, he said. Some of you are still trying to live yours down. Some of you have been forgiven for things the public never even found out about. Silence. Then his father said, So I'll ask this once. If anyone here is perfect and without fault, speak now. No one moved. No one spoke. Not a single voice. His father nodded. Good. He stepped closer to Hope and Ray. Then this subject is closed. Hope's tears threatened again, but this time they weren't shame tears. They were relief. Ray's mother stepped forward and hugged Hope, firm and maternal. Baby, hold your head up. Then Ray's father hugged her too, quick but sincere, and Hope felt something shift inside her. Like a door she thought was permanently locked, finally cracked open. The rest of the night felt different. The whispers died. The stares softened. The people who had laughed earlier suddenly found reasons to compliment the food, because everyone in that room knew something simple. The Whitmores didn't just have money. They had control of major parts of the city. Business, influence, jobs, deals. Nobody would double-cross them, and for the first time in Hope's life, she didn't have to fight alone. Ray squeezed her hand. Told you, he whispered. Hope looked up at him, tears shining. You didn't have to do all that. Ray smiled. Yes, I did. Epilogue. Grace Hope didn't become perfect overnight. Healing wasn't instant. There were still moments she flinched when her phone rang from unknown numbers. Moments she felt unworthy in rooms full of polished people. Moments she woke up wondering if her past would sneak back in like a shadow. But Ray was consistent. His family was consistent. Their love didn't feel like a performance. It felt like home. Hope started going by her real name again. Hope. Ray proposed on the trail where they met, right near the curve where she once tripped and thought her life was ending, not beginning. I fell for you right there, Ray told her, smiling. Literally. Hope laughed through tears as she said yes. 2 years later, they married in Little Rock, surrounded by people who once whispered, but now stood and clapped. Madison wasn't there. Donna wasn't there. That chapter didn't get rewritten. But Hope had learned something powerful. Not everyone from your past is meant to walk with you into your future. A year after the wedding, Hope gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. Ray held her hand in the hospital, eyes shining, voice shaking as he said, "We did it." Hope looked down at her babies, heart overflowing in a way money had never given her. They named the boy Ray Jr. and the girl Grace. Because Grace was what saved Hope. Grace was what held her when shame tried to drag her under. Grace was the love she didn't think she deserved, but received anyway. Later, when Hope stood in the nursery rocking Grace, she whispered softly, "Your mommy used to be lost." Grace blinked up at her, tiny and perfect. Hope kissed her forehead. "But baby," Hope said, voice steady now, "I found my way." And somewhere in the quiet, Hope finally believed it. Hope learned something the hard way. Your past can explain you, but it does not get to define you. She learned that grace isn't earned, it's given. And sometimes, love shows up not to punish who you were, but to protect who you're becoming. If this story reminded you that it's never too late to choose differently, to forgive yourself, or to believe that your future can look nothing like your past, then take this with you. You are not disqualified from love. You are not too broken to be chosen, and grace can still find you. Thank you from LA's Listening Lounge. If this story touched you, like, comment, and subscribe for more stories you can hear and words you can feel.